Hey guys, SoCal Val here. You are listening to the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast.
Welcome everybody back to another Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast. This is another top 10 show. I'm your host, Andy Burrows, and as you can see, I'm joined as always by my illustrious co-host and good friend, Mr. Adam Cousins. Adam, happy top 10 day, mate. How are you?
Oh, always good. Top 10 days are always funny. They're subjective. They're interesting. It garners a lot of attention. So I love these things.
Yeah, these split opinions. This one is going to split opinions like no one's business. This could be very subjective to maybe the era you were born in. Yeah. Top 10 most underrated wrestlers of all time. Now, wow, we say top 10. When I was compiling my list, me and you make our lists and we chop and we change it and we put certain. God, this could have been top 20, I reckon. This could have been maybe top 30. This was ridiculously hard to do because you're putting certain people in, and then in the honorary mentions, you're like, oh, I've moved people from my honorary mentions into my top 10. I've moved them out of my top 10 into my honorary mentions. I'm like, wow, this is a hard one because there's been so many greats, but this is very subjective, I guess, to more than ever the era that you kind of watched wrestling in. Mine definitely is. I'm going to throw that out there now. Mine's very much era subjective, shall we say?
Yeah, I think it also depends on what you class as underrated, isn't it?
Yeah, different views. Yeah, believe it or not, there's many people out there that class The Rock as underrated, and John Cena is and I'm like, well, they're underrated, but the amount of flack that John Cena's got over the years. So let's get into it, buddy. Top 10 most underrated. Dave may be joining us halfway through this episode. He may be coming in. We're not sure where he is. But let's go. Top 10 most underrated wrestlers of all time, Adam, Mr. Cousins, sir. Who have you got at 10 and why?
Number 10 for me is actually someone very recent. It's Dolph Ziggler. I just think Dolph, he's obviously a steady Eddie now, and that's where he is. But the guy is a selling merchant. He's talented. He can go with the best of them. And it was difficult because I had to remove someone and put someone in my honorary mentions. Get him in, but I just felt the need to put him in.
He was on the cusp for a while, weren't he, of that kind of Daniel Bryan push. It was all around that era, wasn't it? He cashed in on Del Rio, didn't he?
Yes.
For the title. And he was destined to be the next, before Daniel Bryan and the whole Yes movement, we had kind of the Dolph Ziggler push, didn't we?
Yeah.
And everyone thought he was going to go to the moon, and like many title runs in WWE, it doesn't pan out.
He got a concussion, didn't he? And he had to drop it.
He missed. He had to drop it, and then unfortunately, it's all, they say this a lot about the wrestling business, and I've heard many wrestlers interviewed, and we've interviewed loads that have said this. Wrestling is a lot about timing, right place, right time. We mentioned Daniel Bryan there in the WWE, right place, right time. The crowd caught fire. LA Knight right now, look at it, caught fire, absolute fire. And how long's that dude been wrestling?
Years.
He's been in Impact. He's been in WWE. Yeah. Dolph Ziggler is no different. The timing was right. Unfortunately, got the concussion, and he's still around now. People seem to forget that. I mean, I know he's doing the comedy circuit in America, and he's a very good stand-up comic. He actually still is an active wrestler. I mean, he's been on Superstars. I mean, it is a bit of a fall from grace how he's been and done it. But yeah, no, good choice, lads. Good start, mate. Number 10 for me.
Can I just stop?
Uh-oh.
You know, earlier on, we announced the Turnbuckle Championship match.
Yeah.
And we mentioned a certain somebody, didn't we?
The little dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, the small guy. Yeah.
Yeah. He's
Mark True.
Mark True. He's he's messaged on us on the social media.
Okay, I'll have a look at that once.
I'll send it to you. But anyway, you're 10.
Number 10 for me is a certain Mr. Ted DiBiase.
Good choice.
For me, again, like we mentioned about Dolph there, and I might as well quickly do my 9. It's Dolph Ziggler. It's 9 for me, so you don't have to. Yeah. 10 for me is Ted DiBiase. Always on that one of them. When we spoke to Jake about that era of wrestler that never quite got them, why didn't they get that push? I mean, it still baffles me this day that Ted DiBiase didn't officially have the world.
He bought it, didn't
he? He bought it and then gave it to
Yeah.
Andre the Giant, or Andre the Giant gave it to him, and it was SummerSlam, if I remember, Survivor Series. He bought it at Survivor Series, and he had it for a split second. But another Dusty Rhodes moment. Held the title up for a picture, but never really had the world title. And for me, DiBiase, I've been fortunate enough. I've met him at a few conventions I've been to in London, and I've asked him this. I've asked him about the title, and he's like, "Yep." He goes, "It was all about timing. They didn't feel that I was in the right place. They didn't feel that the story. He was more involved in tag teams, in $1 million. I think they back then they wanted to push the $1 million belt a lot more than the title, because that went between him and then when Virgil eventually left him. Virgil, they had that little feud, and it was really good. So I think he got caught up in that rigmarole, and then by the time that had all done and dusted, he was kind of looking after a certain Stone Cold Steve Austin as the ringmaster, and everything involved in it got older and things like that. So for me, Ted DiBiase is my number 10, mate. Very, very, very underrated. Number 9, we've already done mine, Dolph Ziggler. Who's your number 9?
Well, you just spoke about it, not the $1 Million Man, but you mentioned the word Jake Roberts.
Number 9.
And like, if you
hello, Dave. I didn't think Dave was here yet.
he apparently is not going to be on this, so he hasn't got a list yet.
He's not brave enough to do these top 10s.
So Jake's my 9. Promo skills, unreal. Ring work, it was more methodical with Jake. It wasn't no frills. He was never going to do 450s or all that stuff that we see now. He was just a solid in-ring performer. I think he may have won the Intercontinental title. I can't remember. If he won, guys, if you just do your research, I can't remember off the top of my head. If you wanted to, anyway. But a guy that my God, the promos of that guy. I've got him on Facebook, his podcast, and they were replaying some of the old promos that he done with Warrior, where he locked him in this snake pit, and oh my God, that guy's unbelievable. So and I know he seems quite low at night, but there is a lot of other people above him that I personally think. But sorry, Jake.
No,
glad you're on before we've done this.
Yeah, flipping heck. He said he might tune into a few more shows we do. Cheers, Jake. Good luck, mate. Don't worry, I'll get you later, mate. Number 8, ads. We've done my 9, Dolph Ziggler. Who have you got at 8, bro?
Kurt Hennig.
8?
Yes.
You've Dave? Is that you?
No. Well, Dave said he cut his hair, right?
Well, he did so. I didn't know he'd cut it this badly.
Well, he was going to be bald because we were talking about the AEW thing, and Scotty Too Hot, he was backstage doing some work with AEW, and he's bald, and I was saying we're too bald, me and him, and he was going to join. But Mr. Perfect, Kurt Hennig. I don't think I need to say any more than that, really, do I?
You've done me here, mate. You've got Jake and we said at the start this is subjective, and me and you are disagreeing. On the good choice though, mate. But each to their own. Number 8 for me is a certain Big Boss Man.
Oh, I've never thought about having him on.
The Big Boss Man for me, dude. When you grew up in that late 80s, early 90s, and they used him a lot in the Ministry of Darkness storyline later on down the line. But the hard times against the Mountie, I'll never forget that run.
Nails?
Yes, Nails. He was for me another one that you look back and you're like, wow. I think he might have been. I think then they chucked the European title on him at one stage later on.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure he never held the IC. I'm pretty sure he definitely never held the world.
Never held the world heavyweight.
Never had the world. I think brief tag team run. I'm gonna say a brief tag team run. I can't remember. Might have been with Nels when they kind of flipped it. But Big Boss Man for me. Again, another mind for the business.
Remember the match? With the Mountie, the jailhouse
match. Yeah.
Basically,
the best one though. Do you remember the WrestleMania match? With the knife stick, and it pretended it was they electrocuted him, and it was that's when they carried the Mountie into the cell.
Yeah,
and that was WrestleMania 7, I think.
When Taker hung him from the cell.
That's it. Yeah, you won't get away with that now. No, I don't think that the TV executives would be like, "What the fuck are you doing?" But number 8 for me, Big Boss Man, like you said, that run with the Mountie, incredible. Number 7, dude,
Brian Pillman.
Honorees.
Yeah, listen, as you say, it's a subjective thing. I remember WCW, Flying Brian, Hollywood Blonde with Steve Austin. when he went crazy in WWE, and
we talked about it a couple of weeks ago, didn't we? With the gun. Imagine doing that now. Randy Orton.
Yeah, both. Goes. He was so talented. Yeah. And probably demons, probably got in the way of what he could have been. But
did they do a Dark Side of the Ring about him?
Oh, fucking hell, probably. Can you
imagine? I know they're on the last season now. I haven't really caught up on it. I don't know who they've done.
Oh, the Jannetty one. Oh my god.
Oh yeah, I've heard.
Oh, jeez.
I've heard things. I need to watch that.
Bash at the Beach one as well. I know we're sidetracking it. Bash at the Beach.
I'll definitely. Yeah, but can you imagine Dark Side of the Ring, Pillman?
Sure, they've done it. I'm sure.
I'm gonna people just tweet us and let us know.
We should know this shit.
We're meant to know. We're meant to be quite knowledgeable about this business, but no, good choice, mate. He was again. Do you think his son's going to be used as well as his old man? Now he's in WWE. AEW let him go, and NXT have gone. We'll have you.
I think I mentioned this on I think maybe an AEW when I can't remember if he was on it. When I said I don't, when WWE used to bring in the top level talent from WCW, like Goldberg, the first thing they done was, what's his weakness? We're going to show it. Whereas he's obviously, this isn't top level talent. So are they going to say, this is what you could have done?
Yeah, and we're going to push him to the moon. And
I mean, I don't know, to be honest, what they're going to do. He's not debuted yet. So let's wait and see on NXT.
NXT. Yeah, no. Number 7 for me is this was I looked at my list. I'm like, am I really putting him this low? But yeah, I am. I say unfortunately, but he's amazingly underrated, and unfortunately, we'll never know how good he could have been. Owen Hart.
You put him at 7.
Yeah.
Wow.
But you put Jake Roberts down at, and obviously, I'm guessing you've got him higher, but 7. Owen Hart for me. Loved him.
Yeah. He was.
We mentioned a couple of weeks ago when just before I went on holiday, we were chatting about Owen. He come up in another one of our top 10s. Love to have seen where he would have gone with the business. He was just, it was great what we saw him do, but God knows where he would have gone. He would have been out of this underrated list if we all know what unfortunately happened.
Mm-hmm.
I think he would have gone on to be one of the all-time greats. People see him as an all-time great for what he'd done, but we very limited what we saw him do. They kept chopping and changing with him. The Blue Blazer, he was the Nugget. And the storyline that he had, and had the great feud with Brett.
Yeah,
culminating in WrestleMania 10, where Owen he went over on Brett. He went over on his brother, and his brother wanted to help him, and his brother knew how good he could be. Hence the win at WrestleMania, which Bret would later on in that show to go and beat Yokozuna for the title. But it was all set up for Owen and Brett to have a great run, and it's all going to be done. And I think it culminated, and unfortunately, the pay-per-view, Owen tragically fell and lost his life, and we all know the tragic story. But for me, and trust me, you'll see my list going on. You'll be like, you might see why I couldn't put him higher. I know you're going to put him higher, I wanted to, but the ones I've got in there, for me, I just couldn't. I didn't want to put him in my honorees. I couldn't get him into my top 5 or something. But for me, Owen Hart he's one of them. It'll always be a what if wrestler for me. What if that didn't? And there's many like that, mate. We spoke to Jake the other couple of weeks ago, and he said, what if I didn't? He admitted, why didn't you ever have the world title? Jake was like, I had demons. WWE knew the situation I was going through. That's why they never gave me a WWE. So yeah, 7 for me, mate. Owen Hart. Number 6, here we go. Number 6, mate. Who you got?
Arn Anderson.
What a shout, by the way.
Great tag team. 4 Horsemen, Tony Blanchard, Double A. But he was great. He can still spine Buster to this day.
He's been doing it in AEW, isn't he? He's been dishing out a few in AEW.
Yeah. I just think he's extremely talented. I loved, obviously, when we were growing up, it was, he was coming to the back end. It was the Brain Busters, I think.
We saw the back end of his career.
Then he went back to WCW kind of at the start to recreate the 4.
Big NWA guy. I know you and
an NWA guy.
You and Fiona talk a lot when you do the NWA. Yeah. It'd be interesting to get their views when you speak to them about the impact that these people, Arn especially, had. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm only 43. I know I look old, but I don't remember. I've gone back and watched a lot of the old stuff. This is a general, I want to see, but he was very influential. Him and Flair in the NWA original days, like we've said when we originally started this promotion, the NWA was the go-to in the territories. NWA was the one that Vince McMahon wanted to chew up as quick as he could, because that was where the main players were. The Dusties, the Flairs, the Arn Andersons, the Funks of this world, the Briscoes of this world. That's where the big boys played. Before that was that Slogo then. And you're right, mate. Arn Anderson, what he's given to the business and his mind now, I'm so glad that he's being used still in AEW. And he, I'm hoping he has an influence backstage.
Oh, I'm sure he does.
I'm hoping him and Jake and his son's there. And yeah, mate, what a great choice. Great choice to have at number 6, mate. My number 6 for me, again, I looked at it and I was like, Davey Boy Smith.
Bulldog.
I can't have an underrated and not put our guy in. He was our guy before anyone else was our guy. He's one of the most. I ummed and ahed. Believe me, I had him at 3, I had him at 2, and I was like, well, if I have him there, this was hard, mate. I know you come out with these great top 10s for us to do. This is the one I found most difficult.
It was difficult.
Davey Boy, I never 12-year-old kid, SummerSlam 92. For me, that is one of the highlights of I was 12 years old, seeing him go over against Brett, and everyone in that crowd was Davey Boy Smith. And it's another one. We come back to it, and unfortunately, this is saying too much in wrestling. What if?
Yeah.
Davey Boy,
Demons,
Owen, Eddie Guerrero, for the great career that Eddie had. Love to have seen him. Imagine what he's doing now in the business.
He was in my mentions. I thought he was still underrated.
Eddie's in my honoraries. He's in, but people like Davey Boy Smith, again, didn't get the run that maybe, and we all know the issues that went on with steroid use back in the day. And I'm not here to throw shade on anyone. That was just the way the world was back in the 80s. And
just ask Hogan.
Yeah, just ask Hogan. Just ask any of the guys involved in the business then. For me, though, Davey, they put the European title on him.
Yeah, he won the Intercontinental title, didn't he? At SummerSlam.
Won the Intercontinental title and had it for about 10 minutes.
Yeah, Michaels beat him in Europe. Do you remember that one?
Michaels beat him, where they started throwing things in the ring. I was there. Capital Carnage.
Yeah, Capital Carnage, yeah.
Yeah, they started throwing shit in the ring. And Michaels they literally had to get him out of there because people were throwing shit from everywhere in the London arena. I remember it very well. But for me, mate, Davey will always go down as one. I don't know if she's ever going to listen to this, but I know his daughter's very active on social media.
Georgia Smith.
One person that I would love to sit down for half an hour on our podcast. Ads, I don't know what strings we need to pull, mate, but she is one person that if I ever got the chance to sit, it'll be like, when we interviewed Jake, just to listen. Imagine her young eyes, what she's seen growing up. And she's I follow her on Twitter, and she's so proud of what her dad's done. For me, mate, Davey Boy, number 6 all day.
He was in my honorable mentions.
Yeah, mate, this is why it's subjective.
Yeah.
It's subjective, mate. We get into the top 5 now, dude. Before we get into the top 5, then let's do our honorary mentions before we break into the. Who have you got in? We've gone the ones we've already mentioned. Who else have you got in your honorary mentions?
You're gonna hate this. I've got Miz in there. I know. But I got Miz. I think he's the guy that's come in. Everyone hated him. He got thrown out of locker rooms. He was green as grass. And look what he's done. And he's still, I always had him under. I always used it like when he was getting drafted to like SmackDown. I always thought if the world champion got injured, you've got a top level heel underneath it with Miz that you could strap that belt onto. He does all the work that Cena does. He does all that work behind the scenes that we don't see. Yes, he's a fucking idiot. But he's a great idiot. So he was.
I like him, but top 10.
But he didn't make the list.
Top 10 most underrated of all time. Okay, all time.
And also Eddie Guerrero.
Yeah, Eddie's in mine.
You know who else I had in there, which is really interesting considering he had this massive run.
You're really scaring me today.
No, you're liking.
Okay.
Bryan Danielson.
Yes. Yeah. No, I can see that
because he won the title. Great. But
I think he's been underused in AEW. Injuries aside, we can't talk. Obviously, injuries have hindered him.
No,
bearing in mind from where we've gone from the push and the yes movement, which was amazing at the time. Again, kind of LA Knight now, although WWE are kind of holding back there. They went with it, Daniel. Do you think AEW we haven't seen the full potential yet? Because I'm shocked that he hasn't had the strap yet.
I think we just got to be wary of what he wants. Because we don't, we can sit here, we can say, well, why didn't this guy want a title? Why didn't that guy want a title? I can't remember what wrestler it was, and it wasn't Daniel Bryan or Bryan Danielson. It was another one that basically said, "I never wanted the world title."
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So, I don't know. I can't remember who it was. Someone had an interview, and he said, "Never wanted it." Might have been one of the ones on the list. But so no, I don't think he's being misused. I think he's probably doing what he wants to do. And you've also got to remember that the injury that he had is very difficult to put a world title on him because you won. Yeah, it's even worse with that. So I mean, like Adam Cole's another prime example of it now. That he's really one big move away, and that could, we'd hope it never happens, but could finish his career, and that's why it's always a danger putting a title in. Not that they're not deserving of it, or they're not quality in the ring, but but you also just go in mindful of what they want. Maybe he doesn't want it, so we don't really know.
Maybe the plan down the line is for him to eventually have it, but they're just slowly building it up. But anyone else?
The last one on my list, was another talent that's still going. He retired briefly as well. It was Christian. Jay, I thought he was I thought that he was always in Edge's shadow in WWE.
Impact run was incredible.
Exactly that. He went away from WWE and he went to Impact and he showed everybody what he can do. He went back to WWE. It still didn't work. I mean, he won the world title for 3 minutes and then Orton won it back the next night or wherever it was. But he never really got, and now on AEW, he's one of the best heels they've got. Yeah.
And another one that's just ingrained, his mind is pure wrestling.
Yes.
Another one that when he retires, you hope that keep around, you use his knowledge, and but there's a passing of the torch in wrestling, and I think there's a passing of the torch out wrestling. You've got like your Arn Andersons, and you've got your Jake the Snakes. Eventually, you're going to have we're seeing it now. WWE, Bobby Roode. Apparently booked some segments on SmackDown. Yeah, you know what I mean.
Nick Aldis.
Nick Aldis booked some segments on SmackDown. Not that they're past it, but Bobby's obviously got his injury. Nick wants to get into the producing, but you could see that with these guys as well. Christian, Kurt Angle, Shawn Michaels is in NXT now, so there's always a passing of the torch behind the curtain. Triple H is, look where he's gone now with his career. You would have thought when he debuted, bowing at WrestleMania, fighting against Mark Mero, that he would be where he is now. So good choice. My honorary mentions, we'll go, we started current then, I'll start current-ish. Kofi Kingston. So underrated. Been around the WWF, WWE longer than people actually think. He's good 20 odd years he's been involved in this company. That finally put the title on him, and it wasn't the best run, if I'm honest. The build up to the run was great.
Yeah,
the push was good. The run itself, and especially the way he lost it, we all know what happened there. That could be a whole podcast, and that could be a whole top 10, under news title runs or something like that.
Do you think that Kofi's a better chaser than champion?
Yeah, and I think there's many like that. I think there's a lot of people like that. I like MJF when he was the whole title chase with CM Punk. I liked it. I like CM Punk when he's going. People apparently I don't like AEW. I like Punk when he's going for the title. I like him chasing for it because it's when they've got it, you're kind of like, oh, I'd like you as that guy that pushes the champion and things like that. Austin when he was first going for Shawn Michaels and Vince was like, I'm not putting it on you. I'm not putting it on you. And then he had some of the best matches ever in WWF history, him and Brett. And so there's so many things like that. But Kofi Kingston for me is one of them. My other honorary mentions, Bam Bam Bigelow.
Very good.
Jeez. King of the Ring. Never forget the King of the Ring.
Never forget the ECW one when he dropped someone through the stage.
Through the stage, yeah. Bam Bam Bigelow for me. Texas Tornado.
Very good. Again, someone with demons.
In the ring, again, up there. Unfortunately we all know how.
I had I had a couple of ones that I couldn't quite get in my honorable mentions. I had two.
Are we going honorary mentions?
Well, maybe. I had Mr. Kennedy. And I think that was more to do with the fact he dropped Randy Orton on his shoulder and he showed them more than anything else.
And WWE were like, bye.
And as soon as you get Cena and Orton,
again, Impact run, brilliant.
He was really good at Impact. I think this one's gonna be very interesting, just because I got low. No, this is to say it.
Dave, hurry up.
I got Jeff Hardy on him. Not on my honorable mentions.
Again, demons. We could have top 10 demons.
Top 10 wrestlers with demons.
Yeah,
do a top
again,
100
mate.
of those.
You know, we mentioned Impact. He fucked that run up.
Yep.
And Eric Bischoff let him go out to the ring. And that, unfortunately, things like that in wrestling will follow you in your career. People will always want to talk to you about that. And Jeff's been very good. He's done many interviews about it and said, look, yep, I was in a bad place then. The only problem with Jeff Hardy is, and a lot of my mate Nick, who listens to this, big shout out to Nick, he's mentioned to me this many times. He never learns from previous mistakes. We all do it in life. Hey, look, that's life. But when you see him, DUI, you're like, dude, come on. You've kind of got to learn now. You've got a privileged lifestyle that many would give for. Don't get me wrong. You put your body on the line. I understand what these guys do. And I understand they might need certain things to get over a set. But there comes a time where you've got to do, dude, man, you've got a talent. You've got potential. Back then in WWE, in the first match against The Undertaker, the ladder match, Taker got him and shook him by the hand and said, kid, you've got something in that ladder match. And Taker, when he got a title shot against The Undertaker on Monday Night Raw main event. And again, he hasn't wasted his talent. He was a good WWF champion for a little bit, had a good run. But now in AEW, I know they went up against the Young Bucks. I personally don't want to see him do too much more.
Death match this week.
Move on.
Yeah, move on.
I don't want to. No more divisions.
Yeah,
So Bam Bam Bigelow, Texas Tornado, another one around that era of Texas Tornado, Dino Bravo.
Well, he would have been all right, but apparently he was in with the wrong people.
Yeah, let's just say he didn't hang around with the right people. Again, tragic. Texas Tornado and Dino Bravo within a month of each other, I think.
They've done a Dark Side of the Ring on Dino.
Yeah, I've watched it. Again, for me, great.
And you can take Dark Side of the Ring with a pinch of salt as well, guys. We're not saying it's legit.
Oh no, yeah, geez, take that.
Purely, like you would take a report on the internet.
And last few for me in the honorees, Shelton Benjamin.
Oh, Shelby B.
Yokozuna.
He weighed 600 pounds. He could move like fucking Rey Mysterio.
Yep. And King Kong Bundy.
Very interesting. Bundy.
They're in my honorees. So that's our honorees. People might think, how did you not put some of them in your top 10?
What about Chad Gable?
If we're doing now.
Are we doing now?
I'm hoping he's not going to be underrated by the end of his career. I'm hoping. I'd love to see him have an IC run. I think I want to see him on his own eventually to see what he can do. He's very much the modern day Kurt Angle. And people keep saying that, but I want to see him eventually get that chance. This whole thing going on.
He's a weird one, isn't he? I know we're sidetracked and we've got top 5 to do, but
no, it's fine. He's
I just don't know.
Marmite. The fact that he's still doing it now in AEW and had a very good match. And, people think that I completely shit on AEW all the time. Fantastic match. He probably was the match of the night on
Someone
Dynamite.
fat shamed him on Twitter. Would you believe it?
He's shredded like fuck for his age.
Someone's like, he's got a big belly. I was like, if he's got a big belly, mate, I'm a sumo.
Yeah, sign me up. Honestly, if I'm that age and he was done that promo with, mate. Yeah. No, incredible.
So Marmite, I agree with that, Marmite.
Marmite, again.
I love him. He's great.
Yeah, love him. Top 5. Who have you got at number 5, dude, and why?
Malenko. Man of 1,000 holds, and you never really got a chance to do like properly.
Never really got a chance anywhere, did he? WCW, no. WWF.
Great cruiserweight in WCW.
ECW.
Yeah, great cruiserweight in WCW. WWE wanted to make him a ladies' man. I mean, the guy nearly talked, for Christ's sake. I mean, that's,
that was that whole time when WCW kind of gave up on Jericho, Malenko, Chris Benoit,
Guerrero,
Perry Saturn. Yeah, hence why they were sitting front row.
Another one.
Perry Saturn, yeah, very, again, slamming issues. Good choice, mate. Really good choice. I like that. Number 5 for me. You may have him higher, you may not have him. Andre the Giant.
I haven't got him, but
okay,
I like it.
Again, he was very unfortunate for a few reasons. His size. Again, you mentioned Bundy earlier. You mentioned.
Wish I could put away the amount of beer that he could do.
Yeah, I listened to Paul White. Paul White was on Talk Sport a couple of weeks ago, and he was talking about how his size when he was younger hindered to what he could get on a plane. He couldn't get a car.
Did you hear the amount of calories he ate?
Yeah, I was like, I don't think I have that in about 3 months. He has it in a day.
Ridiculous.
So for me, Andre, for 2 reasons. Great what they try to do with him. and they had him with Hogan, but he got caught up in that whole 80s Hogan, Warrior, Savage, DiBiase kind of mix. And he was in with Ted DiBiase, and DiBiase bought the belt, and Andre had it for a brief second. If that's gone down as an official title run, all of 10 minutes. But for me, Andre the Giant was great, but he just got lost in that kind of 80s mix of, it was very say your prayers, take your vitamins, brother, that kind of thing. And if he was around with the whole Paul White and WCW and now, and knowing Vince, how we know Vince, I think Andre the Giant would have been used better. He would have been great in the Attitude Era.
Did they? I remember a story I think Heenan told where Andre was telling the Warrior, like, slow down. And he clocked the Warrior one in a match. Yeah. And he was just like,
again, another one, the documentary on Andre the Giant. It's on Sky for those UK folks, and those that are not listening in the UK, you'll be easily watch it. The Andre the Giant documentary is on Sky Documentaries. I urge anyone to go and watch it because you'll be flabbergasted. His sister talks on there, and it's incredible. And he's done an interview before he passed. Incredible. Yeah, so for me, mate, number 5 is Andre the Giant. Number 4.
Piper. He was unbelievable. He was literally unbelievable. Everything. He could promo it. He can go in there. Again, he's not going to be doing 450s. He's not going to be... He hardly ever wins at the top, I don't think. But he can just... I mean, the match with Brett at Mania, they done for the in IC. I think it was the IC when Piper was champion.
Yep.
Brett beat him. He was in the sleeper and
off the turnbuckle. Yeah, flipped. They hit the turnbuckle.
Boom, boom.
Yeah.
And he rolled him up. And that was one of the first times I saw colour. I know Hogan got colour quite a bit, but when Brett got injured, I don't know.
He got Piper got the ring bell.
Smacked him with it, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember the promo.
We can remember that, but we can't. We can't remember.
Can't remember what we had for dinner, but we can remember WrestleMania like 8 or whatever it was. So Piper for me was unbelievable.
Yeah, no, good choice, mate. Number 4. My number 4, Mr. Ravishing Rick Rude.
See, I couldn't get him on it. I wanted him on.
I toyed with 4, right? I had Rick Rude, and I haven't ended up putting him in, but I thought, would he be this high? I wanted to put him as so Rick Rude's my 4. Yeah. But hear me out. At 4, I nearly put the Ultimate Warrior.
Okay,
because I don't think he was great. And all the kids, the thing is, everyone knows the Ultimate Warrior.
Yeah.
But because of all the going on,
it
never really got used the way I think that Vince probably wanted to use him. He used him because he was very over with the audience, and he was very...
And the theme as well, it was everything, like running to the ring. And
so I toyed with Rude and Warrior, but I thought, can I put his Warrior underrated? And I kind of...
His promos were different.
I saw one today where he nearly strangled Shawn Michaels. He was wrapping him in tape.
That's Survivor Series.
Yes. Shawn Michaels is literally going red. And Warrior's cutting this crazy promo about cabbage or something. I don't know what he's doing. But number 4 for me, Rick Rude.
Yeah, brilliant.
Incredible. Again, on the mic, in the ring.
He was getting brilliant. Shame that back injury finished him.
Yeah. Again, another one that later moved to WCW was about the...
That was when he done his back against Sting.
15th million member of the NWO. Later was with... before he went there, he was with DX. Remember he was on...
He joined.
He was on Raw and Nitro the same night.
Yeah.
Yeah, incredible, because obviously Raw was recorded, Nitro was live.
And then I think it was a match with Sting, I think, had done his back.
That's it.
He hit the concrete. He overshot
his disc literally fucking went ping during that match.
Dave feels with his discs.
Yeah, no, honestly, my old man's had it. Dave, obviously, our co-host has had it. I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy. Number 3, mate, who you got? Oh, no, he's laughing already.
No, I'm not lying. Because I'm more so from the WWE run.
Okay.
Which was Cesaro. Castagnoli. How on earth is that guy never... I know he's a Ring of Honor champion now. How on earth? I mean, Vince McMahon on Stone Cold, he hasn't got it.
On the podcast, yeah.
Well, what do you mean? Like, okay, he's Swiss, so there is that promo thing. But that guy he could lift up the Big Show. He could run like a cruiserweight. He had probably one of the best uppercuts in the business. He was over probably as near enough as what Daniel Bryan was, or Bryan Danielson was. And he never got the opportunity for whatever reason. So, and I really like him. So He's free.
Hey, it's your list, mate. Put
My
in
list.
who the
It's my list.
you want, mate. Your list. You've made the list.
Oh, you've made the list. Yeah.
Made the list. Number 3 for me, you've already mentioned him, a Rowdy Roddy Piper.
Oh, yeah, brilliant.
Nothing more needs to be said, mate. I mean, dude, again, another one gone too soon. But you know, what's the movie saying with the bubble gum? Come here. I'm either here to chew bubble gum or fight, and I'm all out of bubble gum.
And the other one was just when you think you have all the answers, I
change the questions. I mean, if you ever want to go, and if anyone listening now, anyone, you know, people in NXT that are coming up, you want to learn promo school,
just go watch his.
Go and watch Piper. Even when he was getting near the end of his career, and I remember they brought him back on a Monday Night Raw, and he was clearly done. He was overweight. They got him in the ring. It was a celebration of someone. It was a birthday. Hogan. It might have been when
Hogan's one when Lesnar come out.
Yeah, mate, Lesnar come out, and Hogan was doing the whole, you know, Piper come out, and you could see in his eyes still, in his mind,
he wanted to go.
He wanted to go, and the thing is, nothing was a fucking storyline with him. No. It was all, nah, I mean this. Nothing's just, this is a storyline. Yeah, I've got that, Vince. Cheers, mate. No, he took it personal.
Do you remember, and he would never get away with it this day and age, when he painted half his face?
Yes.
Before going against Mr. T.
Mr. T, yeah. Yeah, you'd never get away with that now. And he's got one of the best Hasbro figures ever. His Hasbro figures, I should have got mine. It's incredible, mate. I love it. But yeah, 3 for me, Piper. Let's do our top 2 then, mate. Here we go. Who you got? Who's the second most underrated wrestler of all time and why?
William Regal.
Regal?
William Regal. That guy, again, demons. We said it so much in the show. He had, but my God.
There's a lot of what ifs in this show, isn't there?
My God. I remember watching Velocity.
Oh.
And it was him and Benoit. Now, Benoit, we're not going to go there, but from a wrestling standpoint.
Oh, like Paul Heyman's always said, one of the greatest of all time.
Yeah, exactly that. Him and Regal had a match on Velocity. And I remember, wasn't it Regal that got fired from WCW because he tried to wrestle Goldberg?
And he made Goldberg look stupid. You can go on YouTube, and it's what documentary? It's on a documentary.
Done an Inside the Ropes as well.
Yeah, it's something like, if you go on YouTube, and Regal literally blows Goldberg up. I think it's on one of the Monday Night Raw. It's on a documentary on the WWE Network, and Regal's like, I tried to blow him up because I was sick of his shit. And don't get me wrong, back then Goldberg was huge for what it was. I mean, I mentioned yesterday in our group chat why I thought he was back then. He was not huge because of his wrestling, because of the whole what was going on and the whole run, and it was very good when he was squashing people in 20 seconds, and he was over. But Regal was like, nah, fuck this. And if you go and watch that match, and I've seen it, and it's on YouTube, type in William Regal versus Goldberg, he blows the fuck out of him in 5 minutes. Goldberg's dead, done. Regal taught him a lesson that day.
And then Regal got given the boot.
And then Regal went, you know, mate, you're fired because Goldberg's our biggest star, and you've just made him look like a twat on live TV. Great shout, mate. Great shout, William Regal. Didn't even think, see, didn't cross my mind. Number 2 for me, Mr. Perfect, Kurt Hennig.
I had him down the list, didn't I? So.
How the God's name he never was a world champion, I do not know. IC champion, fantastic. Promos, fantastic. In the ring, not many better in the world. In ring, his matches against Bret Hart were. If you want to watch pure wrestling, go and watch Mr.
Great seller as well.
He put people over like no one's business. With Heenan, him and Heenan together. Some of the best ever.
And again, we say the word demons.
Yeah, it's.
Do you remember? I don't know if you have the Plane Ride from Hell. Have you ever seen that one?
Yes, about the
fight. He beat Lesnar in a wrestling match.
Yeah,
on the plane.
Tried to choke him out, didn't he? As well at the end of it, they had to literally say you're going to put him to sleep. He was another one. He's very much Roddy Piper. He's like, this is a storyline. This ain't a storyline. He meant it, but his in-ring, his mic, everything. Again, I would love to know how he would be involved in the industry now. We've missed out on so many greats involved in it.
Remember when he come back in 2002, Royal Rumble?
Yeah, I do. The pop he got.
Never missed a beat.
Threw the rag behind him, caught it still. He was still there, mate.
Shame his son couldn't go over. Even they put him at Heyman and he couldn't go over.
They tried. But yeah, he's my 2, mate. Okay, here we go. Top 10 most overrated wrestlers of all time. Adam Cousins has at number 1.
You've already said him. Owen Hart.
1.
Owen Hart.
Okay, yeah.
The
cool.
biggest what if, one of the biggest what ifs.
Hmm.
We know where he was going. We know what people can say, well, they were only going to put a title on him because Brett left. Well, maybe.
But he was that good.
Who knows? But the fact of the matter is, he was one of the best. He was.
Yeah.
That's it. I can't say anymore.
No, mate. Yeah, sure. And look, I had him at 7, but easily.
Same with Kurt Hennig. You had him at 2.
Yeah.
I had him laid down list.
Well, my number 1, you had at 9, I think. Jake the Snake Roberts.
Ah, Mr. Snake.
What? And I don't want to say the word demons again, but mate, so good for the rest. We mentioned it earlier. Promos. What you want is that you want to be the. Don't get me wrong. Everyone wants to be the complete wrestler. They'd all love to do it, and very few get to do it. We mentioned a few in our list today. Mr. Perfect. We've done our top 10 greats of all time. Bret Hart. You know what I mean? Rick Root. People like that we mentioned today. Wrestling wise, Jake the Snake Roberts. Them young cats, as they say in AEW, don't know how lucky they are now to be learning. That's why I was so, when we interviewed Jake, a month and a half ago now, didn't really have just to listen to him, and we got half hour, 40 minutes with him. I don't know if he's going to write a book or he's going to do anything like that. I mean, I've seen the documentary, I've seen his turnaround in his life. I'd love him to write a book. Oh my God, it'd be like Bret Hart's first one. Fucking super. He's everything that guy. I said this in an interview about you today, actually. You'll be a little compliment coming your way.
Oh.
I said, what he doesn't know about wrestling ain't worth knowing. Jake the Snake Roberts, what he doesn't know about wrestling, it doesn't worth knowing, mate. Promo-wise, incredible. Before his time, I'd say. You can tell the era that he grew up with. You can some of the stories he must have. Promo in the ring, though, if you see him in his pomp and in his youth, for me, so sad. Like, he even admitted on him, me and you asked him, why do you think you were never WWF champion? WWF and Vince knew what I had going on outside the wrestling. He knew that I was addicted to this. I knew I was addicted to that. We all know. We've seen the documentary. Jake's told us on the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast. For those of you who haven't listened to it, go back and listen to the Jake the Snake Roberts interview. He told us he had so much going on and he was in a bad place outside of the ring. But could you imagine if him and Owen had got a title run, our top guys. Imagine Owen Hart as a WWF champion and Jake the Snake Roberts as a WWF. The feud, the potential. We talk about it all the time. Oh, this was a great feud. Oh, our top 10 greatest feuds. Imagine the top 10 feuds that we never got.
We could do that.
What? God, giving him another idea now. He's got about 30 of these shows.
We've got loads to go.
Yeah. But yeah, the feuds that we never got. Owen Hart could have had some of the era that he was in. The Attitude Era was flying then. Owen and Brett for the title. WrestleMania. Brother v brother.
Yep.
Could have happened. You know, Owen Austin. Owen Shawn Michaels. Owen Taker for the title. I'm talking for the title.
Yeah.
Owen Foley. So many things that could have
been. Could have had a match with Jeff Jarrett as well.
Jake the Snake had a few title matches knowing that he was never going to win. I think he had a few like a shotgun Saturday night against Hulk Hogan. Tuesday night in Texas. I've got it on VHS somewhere. The main event is Jake the Snake versus Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan goes over. He's a champion. Jake doesn't get the win. But the potential for Owen and Jake and Piper and Perfect, that's why they're underrated, because we just never quite got to see it, did we?
No. One other name I'll throw out quick.
Okay.
Scott Hall.
Yeah. Yep.
That guy, maybe.
Yeah. I got the best ladder match of all time.
Probably. It wasn't technically wasn't the first.
Technically, it wasn't, but it was the first that we.
Do you know who I can't wait till we interview in a couple of weeks, because I really want to understand a bit more? DDP. He was working with both of those guys.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say this to him, and I truly admit, I'm sorry for segueing right at the end here, but if he lived in England and he done what he done with DDP Yoga, he'd have an MBE by now.
Yeah, would have changed the country.
He would have an MBE. OB would probably been fucking knighted.
Well, look at Joe Dudar during COVID.
If Joe Wicks can get it,
Joe Wicks got one. Where's DDP? Yeah, no, no, it's a shame they don't do that kind of thing in America. But yeah, he's changed. He saved Jake the Snake Roberts' life.
He did save Scott Hall's life. He's
saved Scott Hall's.
Buff Bagwell's around.
Buff we spoke to Buff Bagwell when you interviewed him, and he mentioned all the stuff that he had going on that was bad in his life, and he's turned it around.
Well, there's people there that couldn't walk before they done DDP.
Yeah, no, you're right. Dave, our very own Dave Robertson's been doing a bit of.
Hey, what about DDP?
Yeah, exactly. It's incredible. No, but mate, great. We could, it's very subjective. If you want to let us know yours, you can tweet us at HTT Buckle or comment on the YouTube show that Adam is going to upload. But yeah, we'll be back with another. Adam's got. When I tell you, he's got more than enough of these for us to do. We're going till Christmas with these, and then we're going after Christmas with some more. But I hope everyone's enjoyed it. I love doing these shows. They're really good. Make sure you go and check us out on all social media, like we say all the time. Twitter is at HTG Buckle. Find us on Facebook. Just search Hitting the Turnbuckle Podcast. Same on TikTok. Same on Instagram. Same absolutely everywhere you can find us. But I've been your host, Andy Burrows. That has been my illustrious co-host and great friend, Mr. Adam Cousins. Till next time, everybody, stay safe. Buckle down.